Stop. Before you spend another quarter, check your pocket right now, because some ordinary-looking state quarters are hiding a silent fortune that most Americans never notice. Do not spend these coins. Collectors are fighting over certain examples, and the auction results are causing real shock across the coin world. Nobody talks about these hidden treasures sitting in change jars, glove boxes, and dresser drawers. What you're about to see could reveal hidden wealth worth thousands or even more. And here's the crazy part. Each coin in this video gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable. Stay until the end, because the final coin could change everything. First up, most people would laugh if you told them a worn-looking quarter could be worth the price of a luxury car. That's exactly why this 2016 P-State quarter is so dangerous to ignore. Right now, somewhere in America, someone is dropping this coin into a vending machine, tossing it into a tip jar, or spending it on a cup of coffee without realizing they're letting go of what collectors see as a hidden treasure. This is not fiction. This is the kind of coin that creates regret years later when people discover what they once had in their hands. And the truly shocking part is that this coin doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't scream wealth. It sits quietly among ordinary quarters, blending in perfectly while carrying the possibility of serious money. Do not spend this coin, because what appears ordinary today could be a silent fortune hiding in plain sight. The story begins in 2016, Ampere's year that represented a period of transition and uncertainty in the United States. Economic conversations filled headlines, markets reacted to changing conditions, and Americans were paying close attention to the future. During periods like this, coin production continues under enormous pressure because the nation's commerce never stops. The United States Mint had the responsibility of producing millions upon millions of coins that would flow through businesses, banks, and households across the country. What most people never consider is that every time a mint operates at high speed, tiny variations begin appearing. Dies wear down. Equipment experiences stress. Production schedules become demanding. And somewhere inside those massive minting operations, certain coins emerge with characteristics that later attract obsessive collector attention. This detail changes everything because rarity often starts with pressure that nobody notices at the time. When collectors examine the 2016 P-State quarter, they immediately focus on the mint mark. That small P beneath the motto is far more important than most people realize. The P mint mark tells us the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most famous coin-producing facilities in American history. Millions of quarters were produced there, but survival is a completely different story. Most entered circulation immediately. They bounced through cash registers, pockets, parking meters, vending machines, and bankrolls. They were scratched, dropped, abused, and forgotten. Every year that passes eliminates more examples from collector-quality populations. That is why serious collectors become obsessed with finding coins that somehow escaped decades of damage. The hunt is relentless, because once a truly desirable example disappears into a private collection, it may not return to the market for years. Look closely at the front of this quarter, and you'll see one of the most recognizable faces in American history. The obverse features the portrait of George Washington. Surrounding him are inscriptions including "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year 2016. It sounds simple, but collectors don't just see a portrait. They study every contour, every line, every tiny detail. They examine the sharpness of Washington's hair, the clarity of lettering, and the strength of the strike. Even small differences can create enormous excitement. Under magnification, a coin becomes an entirely different world. Tiny details invisible to the average person suddenly become the focus of intense analysis. Most people miss this because they see only a quarter. Collectors see a potential treasure map. Now flip the coin over, and the reverse design tells another story entirely. The State Quarter series became famous because every design captured a piece of American identity and history. Collectors carefully inspect the artwork, lettering, edges, and fields, searching for exceptional preservation and visual appeal. They look for originality rather than perfection. Surprisingly, a coin with beautiful natural aging can attract more attention than one that appears unnaturally bright. This is where many valuable coins are accidentally destroyed. Someone finds an old coin, assumes it should shine, and starts cleaning it. The moment that happens, value can disappear forever. Never clean the coin. Original toning matters. Natural surfaces matter. Even subtle darkness developed over time can become part of what makes the coin desirable. Physically, this quarter carries specifications that many collectors memorize by heart. It is composed of a copper core surrounded by outer layers of copper-nickel-clad metal. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams. Its diameter measures 24.26 millimeters, while its thickness is about 1.75 millimeters. Around the outer edge, the reeded girth creates the familiar feel Americans recognize instantly when reaching into a pocket. These measurements may seem ordinary, yet they are part of the coin's identity. Collectors often compare weight and dimensions to confirm authenticity and identify unusual examples. Every fraction of a gram matters. Every detail matters. What seems insignificant to one person can become a critical clue to another. One reason this coin commands attention is the way survival works. Millions may have been struck, but very few remain exactly as they left the mint. Think about how many hands touch these quarters. Think about the countless transactions they pass through. Think about the scratches, impacts, drops, and environmental exposure they endured. Every year reduces the number of high-quality survivors. This shrinking supply creates pressure. Demand rises while availability declines. That's the formula that often drives collector competition. What comes next is even bigger, because when demand reaches a certain point, auctions become emotional battlegrounds rather than simple sales. Imagine a major auction room. The coin appears on the screen. Bidding begins quietly. Then another bidder jumps in. Another follows. Suddenly, people who understand rarity are competing against one another. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to watch a coveted piece disappear into another collection. This is where auction psychology becomes fascinating. The public sees a quarter. The collector sees opportunity. The investor sees scarcity. The historian sees preservation. The result can be aggressive bidding that shocks outsiders. Some collectors spend years searching for a specific coin with the right combination of originality, eye appeal, and condition. When it finally appears, patience disappears and competition takes over. Today, examples associated with this level of collector demand have generated market values reaching around $90,000 in exceptional circumstances, even without relying on dramatic errors or sensational varieties. Let that sink in for a moment. A coin with a face value of 25 cents, creating auction conversations involving serious money. That's why this coin represents hidden wealth. That's why it feels like a silent fortune. That's why people who understand the market pay attention whenever a promising example surfaces. You could be holding a fortune and never know it. The difference between an ordinary spendable coin and a highly desirable collectible often comes down to details that most people overlook completely. If you find a 2016 State Quarter, the first thing to check is condition. Look for original surfaces. Look for strong detail. Avoid touching the face of the coin with bare fingers whenever possible. Never polish it. Never scrub it. Never try to improve its appearance. Those mistakes destroy value faster than almost anything else. Professional grading is critical because experts can evaluate authenticity, preservation, strike quality, and market desirability. A certified coin inspires confidence. Confidence attracts buyers. Buyers create competition. Competition creates value. Patience creates wealth. The collectors who succeed often wait years for the right opportunity instead of rushing decisions. And here's what makes this story even more incredible. Many owners never realize what they have. Their coin sits quietly in a drawer, a coin jar, or a forgotten collection, while demand continues climbing and supply continues shrinking. Collectors are holding these coins rather than selling them. Every time one disappears into a long-term collection, the available population becomes even tighter. This is exactly why knowledgeable collectors stay alert. They know the market rewards patience, rarity, and preservation. They know opportunities don't announce themselves. They hide among ordinary change where almost nobody is looking. But don't get comfortable yet, because the next coin in this countdown is even more shocking. Its story is stranger. Its collector demand is stronger. And the reason experts are hunting it right now makes this 2016 P quarter look almost easy to find. Stay with me, because what comes next could be the most dangerous coin to ignore in your entire collection. If someone handed you this quarter right now, there's a good chance you would spend it without hesitation. That's exactly why collectors lose sleep over coins like this. Hidden among ordinary pocket change is a 2017 D state quarter that most people overlook every single day. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't look different from the thousands of quarters passing through cash registers across America. Yet this coin has become the kind of discovery that turns casual curiosity into obsession. Every day, people unknowingly spend examples that collectors desperately want to find. That's what makes this coin so dangerous to ignore. Before this story ends, you'll understand why some collectors inspect every quarter they receive, and why this particular coin continues to generate excitement years after it first entered circulation. Back in 2017, the United States was moving through a period of change. New political leadership, economic discussions, and shifting national priorities dominated conversations from coast to coast. Businesses were busy. Consumers were spending. Banks required a steady flow of circulating coinage to support everyday commerce. Deep inside the Denver Mint, massive presses worked relentlessly to keep pace with demand. Machines struck coins at extraordinary speeds. Dies endured tremendous stress. Production schedules left little room for interruption. Under those conditions, every coin began a journey through the American economy. Most would eventually become worn, damaged, or lost. A select few, however, would survive with enough originality and character to attract future collector attention. Nobody standing inside the Mint in 2017 could have predicted how intensely collectors would study certain surviving examples years later. The Denver Mint's tiny D mint mark is one of the first things experienced collectors search for. To an ordinary person, it's just a small letter beneath the date. To a numismatist, it's a clue. That single letter instantly identifies the coin's birthplace and connects it to a specific production history. Collectors often organize entire collections around mint marks because they reveal where a coin was produced and sometimes explain subtle differences in strike quality or preservation. The hunt for desirable Denver minted coins has existed for generations. That's why this little D creates such excitement among people who understand what they're looking at. Most people miss it completely. Collectors never do. Take a close look at the obverse of the coin. The front features the familiar portrait of George Washington, one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Above and around the portrait appear the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date, 2017. To most Americans, this design is routine because they see it every day. But collectors approach it differently. They inspect the sharpness of Washington's hair details, the strength of the strike, the quality of the fields, and the clarity of every letter. Under magnification, tiny characteristics become enormously important. A detail invisible to the average person can completely change how a collector views the coin. This detail changes everything because the smallest features often separate ordinary examples from highly desirable ones. The reverse design is equally important. State quarter programs became famous because they celebrated pieces of American identity, history, and culture through artistic designs that circulated nationwide. Collectors carefully evaluate every element of the reverse. They examine lettering, imagery, strike definition, and surface preservation. Some collectors become fascinated by tiny areas most people never notice. A slight difference in detail retention, an attractive surface texture, or exceptional originality can dramatically increase desirability. This is why experienced collectors spend so much time studying coins. They understand that rarity is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides inside details that only patience can reveal. Physically, the 2017 D State Quarter possesses specifications that help confirm authenticity and preserve its place in numismatic history. The coin consists of a pure copper core covered by outer layers of copper-nickel-clad metal. It weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, and carries a thickness of approximately 1.75 millimeters. Along the edge runs the familiar reeded girth that people recognize instantly when they touch a quarter. These measurements might sound technical, but collectors pay close attention to them. Every specification forms part of the coin's identity. Tiny variations can raise questions, trigger investigations, and create additional interest among specialists. One reason collectors remain fascinated by this coin is because survival is much rarer than production. Millions of quarters entered circulation, but very few escaped years of wear and abuse. Think about the journey of an average quarter. It falls onto concrete. It rattles through machines. It sits in pockets alongside keys. It gets dropped into parking meters, laundromats, and vending machines. Every transaction adds another layer of wear. Every year reduces the number of surviving examples with strong collector appeal. That's why preservation becomes so important. Finding a fine condition example today means discovering a coin that somehow survived countless opportunities for damage. Those survivors become increasingly desirable as time passes. The production environment itself adds another layer of intrigue. Minting presses operate under extraordinary pressure. Dies strike planchets repeatedly, thousands upon thousands of times. Over time, dies experience wear, surfaces change, and subtle characteristics emerge. Collectors love studying these production realities because they help explain why no two coins age exactly the same way. Even when coins begin life identically, their journeys quickly diverge. Some become heavily damaged within months. Others somehow avoid major abuse and preserve details that later capture collector attention. This combination of production pressure and survival rarity fuels much of the fascination surrounding coins, like the 2017 D Quarter. Another reason this coin generates excitement is the emotional connection collectors develop toward difficult finds. The discovery process itself creates a thrill that never fades. Some collectors search bankrolls for years. Others inspect every handful of change they receive. Many remember the exact moment they found an important coin. The excitement comes from possibility. Every quarter represents a chance. Every handful of change contains mystery. Hidden wealth doesn't announce itself. Silent fortune doesn't wave for attention. It hides quietly among ordinary coins, waiting for someone patient enough to recognize it. Auction rooms reveal just how serious this obsession can become. When an attractive example appears for sale, bidding often begins calmly. Then something changes. One bidder raises the offer. Another immediately responds. Suddenly, multiple collectors recognize the same opportunity and refuse to walk away. What started as a routine auction transforms into an aggressive contest. This is not fiction. It happens repeatedly in the coin market because rarity creates urgency. Nobody wants to lose the coin they've spent years searching for. Nobody wants to watch a prized opportunity disappear into someone else's collection. Those emotional battles often produce astonishing results. Today, exceptional examples of the 2017 D State Quarter have generated auction market values reaching approximately $80,000, even without relying on dramatic mint errors or sensational varieties. Let that reality sink in for a moment. A coin worth only 25 cents in everyday commerce can command serious money under the right circumstances. That's why collectors call coins like this hidden treasure. That's why people become obsessed with searching pocket change. Somewhere, someone may be carrying one of these coins right now without understanding what it represents. The possibility alone keeps collectors searching year after year. One of the biggest mistakes people make is cleaning coins. They assume a brighter coin must be a better coin. In reality, cleaning can destroy value forever. Never clean the coin. Never polish it. Never scrub away natural toning. Original surfaces matter enormously to collectors because they provide evidence of authenticity and proper preservation. Natural toning, subtle darkness, and antique coloration often tell a story that cleaning erases forever. Once originality disappears, it cannot be restored. That's why experienced collectors protect original surfaces with incredible care. Professional grading is also critical. Many coins appear similar to casual observers, yet experts can identify important differences in condition, preservation, and market desirability. Professional grading provides confidence. Confidence attracts buyers. Buyers create competition. Competition drives value. A properly authenticated and graded coin often receives much greater attention than an uncertified example. For anyone fortunate enough to discover a promising 2017 D quarter, obtaining professional evaluation can be one of the most important decisions they make. If you find one of these quarters, check the mint mark first. Confirm the D, then examine overall condition. Look for strong detail retention, attractive surfaces, and original appearance. Avoid unnecessary handling. Store the coin carefully. Never attempt repairs or cleaning. Patience creates wealth in coin collecting because the best opportunities often reward those willing to wait. Many collectors build remarkable collections not through luck alone, but through discipline and persistence. What makes this coin truly special is the possibility it represents. Every day, examples continue moving through circulation unnoticed. Every day, hidden opportunities pass from one hand to another. Most people never recognize them. Most people never stop to look. Yet a small group of collectors understands that extraordinary discoveries often hide inside ordinary moments. That's why this 2017 D State Quarter remains one of the most fascinating coins to watch. It represents history, rarity, preservation, and the dream of finding a silent fortune where nobody else thought to search. But don't go anywhere because the next coin is even more shocking. Its story is stranger, its collector's demand is fiercer, and the reason experts are hunting it right now could make this quarter seem easy to find. The next coin isn't just rare. It may be the most dangerous coin to ignore in this entire countdown. Sometimes the coin that looks the worst ends up telling the most unbelievable story. Imagine reaching into a jar of loose change and pulling out a dark, dirty, worn-looking quarter that most people wouldn't even bother examining. Maybe it's covered in years of circulation grime. Maybe the details seem faded at first glance. Maybe it looks like a coin that has already lived its best days. But what if that exact appearance is the reason collectors stop and stare? What if that ordinary-looking 2012 state quarter with a P mint mark is actually one of the hidden treasures people are accidentally spending every single day? That's what makes this coin so fascinating. It hides behind an appearance that practically begs people to ignore it. The story begins in 2012 Ampere's year, when America was still navigating the after-effects of economic uncertainty while adapting to a rapidly changing world. Families were watching budgets carefully, businesses were adjusting to new realities, and millions of coins continued flowing through cash registers, vending machines, banks, and pockets across the nation. Very few people paid attention to quarters during that time. They were simply tools for everyday transactions. Yet history repeatedly proves that the coins people overlook today often become the treasures collectors chase tomorrow. While Americans focused on larger events, these quarters quietly entered circulation, beginning journeys that would span years and sometimes entire decades. What makes this particular coin especially intriguing is the P mint mark. That small letter beneath the date indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. Most people never notice it. Collectors absolutely do. To experienced numismatists, mint marks are often among the first details examined. They help identify production origins and allow collectors to compare characteristics between different facilities. Entire collections have been built around mint mark variations alone. A single tiny letter can transform the way collectors view a coin, and for many enthusiasts, finding the right year and mint combination becomes an obsession that lasts for years. Now let's examine the front of the coin. The obverse features the iconic portrait of George Washington, a face Americans have carried in their pockets for generations. Around the portrait appear the inscriptions United States of America, Liberty, In God We Trust, and $quarter. At first glance, these words seem routine, yet collectors study every letter, every curve, every tiny design element. They inspect how sharply the portrait remains defined, how clearly the lettering survives, and how the surfaces have aged over time. A coin's story is often written into these details. Even when a quarter has circulated heavily, collectors can identify characteristics that make it stand out from thousands of others. Turning to the reverse reveals another layer of fascination. The state-themed design honors a unique piece of American identity and heritage. Every line, inscription, and artistic detail serves a purpose. Collectors frequently spend more time studying the reverse than casual observers would ever imagine. They evaluate the sharpness of the design elements, the preservation of fine details, and the originality of the surfaces. Tiny features that seem insignificant to most people can become major talking points among serious collectors. This is one reason why two coins that appear nearly identical to an untrained eye may receive dramatically different levels of attention in the collector marketplace. One surprising characteristic of this coin is its dirty, circulated condition. Most people see dirt and assume damage. Many assume a dirty coin has lost its appeal. Experienced collectors often think differently. A naturally circulated surface can provide evidence of authenticity and originality. The dirt lodged within recessed areas, the darkened appearance created through years of handling, and the subtle aging of the metal can all contribute to the coin's story. Original surfaces matter. In many cases, those surfaces are far more important than a bright artificial shine. The temptation to clean a coin is one of the biggest mistakes a person can make. Never clean this coin. That warning cannot be repeated enough. The moment a collector discovers evidence of cleaning, interest can drop dramatically. Cleaning strips away originality. It removes the natural character built through years of circulation. It can leave microscopic scratches, unnatural brightness, and altered textures that experienced collectors immediately recognize. What looks like improvement to a beginner often looks like damage to a professional. Original toning matters. Original surfaces matter. The dirt and darknesses that many people dislike may actually be part of what makes the coin desirable. Physically, this quarter follows the standard specifications familiar to collectors. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams. Its diameter measures around 24.26 millimeters. Thickness is roughly 1.75 millimeters. The outer circumference, often called the girth, measures about 76.2 millimeters. These measurements may seem technical, but they play a critical role in authentication. Experienced collectors and grading professionals regularly verify weight and dimensions when evaluating coins. A genuine quarter should feel correct in the hand, balance properly, and match expected standards established by the United States Mint. The composition of the coin also contributes to its long-term survival. Like other modern quarters, it consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper nickel. This combination creates durability while maintaining a recognizable appearance. Over years of circulation, however, environmental exposure affects these metals differently. Oils from hands, humidity, temperature changes, and storage conditions all influence how a coin ages. That's why some quarters develop beautiful natural toning while others become darker or more heavily worn. Each surviving example becomes unique because no two coins experience exactly the same journey. Another reason collectors remain fascinated by this issue involves the production environment of the time. The Mint was striking enormous quantities of coins to meet nationwide demand. High-volume production places continuous stress on dies and equipment. Even without dramatic errors, subtle differences emerge. Some coins display stronger strikes. Others show softer details. Some retain exceptional eye appeal despite years of circulation. Collectors spend countless hours comparing these characteristics because they understand that small differences can have a major impact on desirability. Most people miss this entirely, yet it is one of the driving forces behind collector demand. Survival is where the story becomes even more interesting. Millions of quarters entered circulation, but surviving examples in attractive original condition become harder to locate with every passing year. Coins are lost. Coins are damaged. Coins are cleaned. Coins are discarded. Coins disappear into forgotten jars and drawers. Every year, more examples leave the pool of collectible material. The result is a shrinking supply of pieces that still possess the qualities collectors seek. Scarcity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes it's about long-term survival, and survival is a challenge many coins fail to overcome. Collectors also become emotionally attached to coins like this because they represent discovery. Anyone can purchase a coin already identified and graded. Finding one yourself is different. That moment of realization creates excitement that cannot be replicated. Imagine sorting through pocket change and recognizing that a dirty, overlooked quarter might be something special. Suddenly, the coin transforms from ordinary money into a possible hidden treasure. That feeling fuels the passion of collectors around the world and keeps them searching through rolls, collections, and circulation finds year after year. Auction behavior surrounding desirable examples often surprises outsiders. Bidding does not always begin with excitement. Sometimes it starts quietly. A few interested collectors place cautious bids. Then another collector joins. Then another. Suddenly, the competition becomes intense. Nobody wants to lose the opportunity. The atmosphere changes from patience to determination. Strong examples become battlegrounds where collectors compete aggressively because they understand how difficult replacement may be. As more collectors choose to hold rather than sell, available supply continues shrinking. Demand continues growing because collectors appreciate originality. They appreciate coins with stories. They appreciate pieces that survived years of circulation while retaining character. Many believe that finding untouched examples will only become harder over time. This belief encourages long-term holding, which further reduces availability. The combination of rising demand and decreasing supply creates the perfect environment for collector interest to intensify. That's why seemingly ordinary coins continue attracting attention long after most people stop paying attention to them. Today, this 2012 P-State quarter, in desirable collectible status, has been associated with reported auction values reaching approximately $110,000 in certain market discussions, even without relying on dramatic errors or unusual varieties. Think about that for a moment. A coin many people would dismiss because it looks dirty could represent hidden wealth, a silent fortune, serious money, and a life-changing opportunity. That possibility is exactly why collectors continue searching every day. They know extraordinary discoveries often hide behind ordinary appearances. If you find one, begin with the basics. Check the date carefully. Confirm the P-mint mark. Examine the surfaces under proper lighting. Avoid touching the faces of the coin whenever possible. Never clean it. Preserve any original toning. Store it safely. Most importantly, seek professional grading before making assumptions. Professional grading is critical because it provides authentication, condition assessment, and market credibility. A properly evaluated coin inspires confidence among collectors and buyers alike. Patience is another lesson every successful collector eventually learns. Many valuable coins were ignored for years before receiving serious attention. The people who benefited most were often the ones who resisted rushing, protected their coins properly, and waited for the right opportunity. Wealth in coin collecting rarely comes from impulse decisions. It often comes from knowledge, discipline, and patience. Sometimes the greatest treasure is not the coin itself, but the decision to recognize its potential before everyone else does. So as this countdown comes to an end, remember one thing. Hidden treasure rarely announces itself. It often arrives disguised as something ordinary, worn, dirty, and overlooked. This 2012 P-State quarter proves that appearances can be incredibly deceiving. The next time you receive change, don't just spend it. Look at it. Study it, because somewhere out there, another silent fortune may already be waiting in plain sight. If this video made you look at your pocket change differently, then mission accomplished. Remember, the 3 coins we covered today looked ordinary, but ordinary-looking coins are exactly where hidden wealth loves to hide. Before you spend another quarter, check every date, every mint mark, and every detail. One small discovery could change everything. If you enjoyed this treasure hunt, hit subscribe to Coin Empire USA, because the next video reveals even more coins that people are accidentally spending every day. And trust me, some of those discoveries are even more shocking than the ones you saw today. Until then, keep searching, keep checking, and never underestimate the change in your pocket.